Alrighty. Hi there. Thank you so much for meeting with me today. How's your day been going?
It was really good. How about you?
Mine's great, going well. Alrighty, before we begin our session today, I'm going to explain our confidentiality policy a little bit. So pretty much what you signed, the paper earlier, was stating that anything we say today is completely confidential. I don't release any of this information to anybody. But in case of the event of you possibly speaking about something that could lead me to believe that you would harm yourself or others, then that would be a case for me to explain that to one of my colleagues or reach out to someone of importance to get that taken care of. But that does not automatically mean that if you were to hint at that or say anything along those lines, that I would automatically have to go to say, let's say, a police officer. It would be just grounds for me to take care of that and make sure that you are okay or others are okay as well. So do we understand that policy mostly?
Yeah, definitely.
Alrighty, then let's begin. What is bringing you here today to speak with me?
So I identify as a trans man, and I have been going through my transition for just over a year now, and I'm still just like kind of in like a weird in between space, and just kind of wanted to talk about like what was going on and just kind of like put it out there to figure out like maybe there's suggestions to like help with my dysphoria or like with my anxiety that comes with it or anything like that.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm glad to be speaking with you today about that, and I'm glad that you chose to reach out to me and be able to kind of talk about that with you. Alrighty, so when did you, I know that you spoke a little bit briefly just now about how long it's been going on or that you felt this way, but when did it kind of start or when did you feel this way or that even started to have anxiety possibly about it?
So I have been out as a trans person since I was a freshman in college. So it'll be 5 years now.
Okay.
It'll be 5 years in January actually that I came out like for the first time as like a trans person. And it started like way before that. I overcompensate for things. So when I was growing up, I was like the super girly one. Like I always did my hair, I always did my makeup. Like my senior prom dress cost $250 and was like custom made, and like I did it all. And it was because I couldn't figure out like what was wrong, and I thought like, well, maybe it's because I'm gay. Like that obviously made sense. And then I was like, nope, this still isn't it. Like, yeah, I'm attracted to women, but that's not what's missing. Like that's not the confusing part. Mm-hmm. And I went to this really like dope social justice retreat, to say like, to put it into like simple words. I don't know. It's called we call it Catalyst, but it's like a uni town. So you go and you talk about like your privilege, and you talk about like how your identities are all of your different intersectional identities, and you learn about like how to be a better advocate and to have these conversations. And it was like the first time I ever had language to put like how I was feeling about my gender, and it was a wild ride, and it absolutely changed my life, and it was like one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. But
when was that? When did you attend that?
Yeah, it was January of 2014. So like I just graduated high school. I went to the University of Northern Colorado for my first like 2.5 years of college. And so like I went out to Colorado like completely by myself. I had no family. Like I just was like, I'm gonna do it, and so I did it, and loved it. I love Colorado, and it was like one of the greatest places I've ever like been and had like the pleasure of living in. But it was also because I got to attend that university. Like that's what was the greatest part.
So was that what made you go to Colorado or find out about that? Was kind of because the university. Okay.
Yeah, I had no idea. It was just this like they showed interest in me in a couple of like my test scores, and I was like, I have no idea what this school is. Like it is this tiny, like in my opinion, like this tiny like middle of nowhere school, and I went to it and like fell in love. Like it is one of the most beautiful campuses I've ever been to. Like the atmosphere is really dope. Like, it's beautiful weather all the time. Like, it was just the greatest thing. And then they also have like a really incredible like queer scene. And my senior year, I didn't identify. I don't know how I identified. I think I said I was bi. I'm pretty sure I said I was bi my senior year. I don't actually remember, but I was dating a woman, and everybody was like, "You're not bi, you're gay." And I was like, you know what? I want to get involved in like the queer community and be like fuck this shit. Like bi visibility is like important, and like I want to do it, and like super stoked about it. And that's part of the reason why, because I was actually going to either go to NAU main campus or UNC, and UNC had a better like LGBT scene, so I picked that first.
Okay, awesome. So did you meet like friends there, like, and that's what kind of helped?
Yeah,
helped with that
all 3 of my best friends that like have seen me since freshman year until now all go to UNC. I like picked my career because of UNC. I got involved with a bunch of different like LGBT organizations and like did just pretty great stuff for like the couple years I was up there. So
was that that was your first 2 years of college, and then you're in your last 2 at NAU?
Yeah, I'm graduating in May.
Awesome. Me too.
Nice.
Alrighty. Alrighty, so going along with this and what you talked about, how do you think this like affects your life the most? Let's like do one positive and one negative way.
Definitely. So a positive one really is like I've got this really incredible community now. I have like a solid percent of my friends are like trans men and like have gone through this or are going through like top surgery or like starting testosterone or like doing all these really incredible things. And I get to be a part of that. Like they like I'm allowed to be a part of that, and that is so exciting for me. And I have a really bad day at work where like I have coworkers who misgender me, or I just like had just like a shitty like mental health day. I can go to them and be like, "This sucks. Like, how do I fix this?" And they'll just be like, "Yeah, man. Like, go do something stereotypically masculine. Like, it's fine. Just like get over it. Like, you'll be good." And it, yeah, like one of my best friends I met because I came out and was like part of, do you know that like Tumblr?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So they do like the like submit if you are like X, Y, and Z, and I did one of those, and I actually met one of my best friends on Tumblr from it, and like that community is just wild, and they're so incredible. So that is for sure a positive.
Awesome. That's good to have like a lot of support. That is really important.
I definitely lucked out. I'm pretty lucky on that one. I think a negative is just like dealing with not being able to like have a voice for a lot of your life, and then finally using it and still being like shut down. That's something I'm like super struggling with. Coming out as like a trans man, and like as my transition continues, I've become like more and more passing. And so that's a completely new privilege that I'm not used to, is like people listening to me without questioning me pretty much. Mm-hmm. And that's really, really wild, because I've had people who like could not care less about what I've said before, and now like actually started listening to me, or been like, I'm gonna believe you because you know what you're talking about. I've never looked at cars in my entire life. Like my best friend's husband works on cars, and like I'll pick up little things like that, but like never in depth. And my friends are now coming to me, and I'm like, you're so wrong. This is still wrong. But and seeing it like in the media every single day, or seeing something like I was at a bar and was like ushered to the other bathroom because they didn't think I belonged in one. Like there's like things I thought would get better that still haven't, I guess.
Okay. All right. All right. All right, so going along with that, we've talked a little bit about your friends. How do you think this affected or still affects your relationship with your family?
So get the backstory on this. My mom is my best friend in the entire world, and my entire she's my world. I would do anything for my mom, and she knows it. So she was one of the last people I actually ever came out to. I just was terrified. Like, I didn't have a really great relationship with her through high school. I didn't have like a really great just like experience with that, and then went away to college, and it was like the distance did us wonders. So me coming out to her was like I was afraid I was going to lose my best friend. I was going to lose my mom. Like financially, I was dependent on her. Just everything. Like she controlled a lot of my life. It's like has a lot of control in that. And so I didn't want to come out to her. Didn't want to come out to her. And the year I did was April of 2015. Yeah, either April or May of 2015, and I have bipolar affective disorder, and I was like not medicated for it for a really long time, and I was in a manic episode, and so instead of like having an adult conversation with her, so my oldest cousin was getting married, and I was supposed to wear a dress and be in like heels and be all like super feminine and just not who I am in general. I was like already pissed about it. I was like, I'm not wearing a dress. Like, this is not happening. I don't want to do it. And like, she wasn't understanding why. And instead of just being like, just make up something, like just say you just don't want to wear a dress. I just texted my mom. I was like, because I'm not a girl. And then like didn't answer her phone calls for like 3 hours. They didn't know how to handle it. Um, yeah. And then like that same night got like a spur of the moment tattoo because I was like, it's fine. Like everything is going wrong. Like we're gonna fix it somehow. So I, for probably the next year, it was really, really rough. I came out in that April, and then November of that year, I was hospitalized under a 72-hour hold. Um, because I was with a extremely abusive partner who just like was awful. They were just like not a good person at all. And would say things like, if like I'm gonna go out and cheat on you with like a real guy so I can get pregnant, like things like that. And that really like for obvious reasons like took a toll on my mental health. Uh, and so that's actually why I'm back in Arizona, is because after that my mom was like, you need to come home so we can work on all of it. And since then my relationship is like constantly changing with my mom, but it's like always changing in like such a positive way. I went from like not talking to her about anything to on Saturday, like I'm walking her and her partner down the aisle, like when they get married. Like I'm dancing with my mom at her wedding. Like she calls me her son. She's my biggest supporter. Uh, she she sends me like the sweetest articles about like trans people. She'd be like, I just saw this and I thought of you, and like tell me about it. Like, how do you feel about this article? Like, let's talk about it. And like I honestly could not have asked for a better advocate or like a better person in my life to like go through this with. There's days where it's like really, really hard for her to understand, and she still mourns. She says she mourns the death of her daughter. So that's something that we're still like working on, and it's just like working on finding that language versus like, because I don't disregard that at all. Like that is 100% valid, and I know that she needs to be able to do that. But using that language is just, it's very problematic sometimes. And so, but she's like open to talking about it, and she like wants to talk about it and like wants to grow and like educate herself. And now is like pass that on to my grandparents, who I thought I was never gonna come out to them. I just thought like I was gonna be in the closet until they died, and then after they died, like that's what it was, and I was just gonna have to be okay with it. And I ended up coming out to them after I was in the hospital, and I was like, well, I guess this is it. Like, they're gonna have to know. So I did that, and at first my grandma like was super standoffish. Told me like she was never gonna call me Caden. She was never gonna like see me as a boy, like nothing like that. And now she like slips up, but she doesn't call me my dead name anymore. And that's huge. Like, she went from being like, I'm never going to call you Caden, to not ever calling me anything but Caden. And like, to see that growth is just, it's so awesome.
That's a lot of success and a lot of like progression to look back on and reflect and be like, wow, I was here, which could have been negative in the past, and now I'm here. And that would just be huge.
Yeah, it's one of the like wildest, most extreme, and like exhausting but exhilarating feelings and like transitions that like, or like just like transition period in my entire life. Like, no matter what I was going through, the fact is like I'm 22 years old, so that in general is just like a transition period and like figuring everything out. So yeah, it definitely still takes a toll. I like to call my family like the most conservative, like liberals you'll ever meet, because they are exactly that. Like, they are conservative in like, women dress a certain way, and you don't dress a certain way, like you are not living up to that value, or like you need to pull yourself up from the bootstraps. But like the gay, like, sounds bad, like the gays get married, and like your gender doesn't matter, and like nothing of that aspect. But like, if you do not have a job and like don't go to school and like don't do X, Y, and Z, like, you're not successful. And so that it's like battling their idea and like their description of like what they see my life being versus what it truly is. So it's a work in progress.
Okay, so going off what you just said, like how you feel like they have like a certain way of doing things, do you feel like any of your friends are that way as well? Like, how are your relationships with your friends? Maybe even your friends that you had in high school, or before, do they, is it similar to your parents or your friends, the same?
So um, I actually don't talk to people with except one person, and that's my best friend. I made that conscious decision before I came out. I like didn't see the point of having like negative people who like I saw what they posted, or I saw like who they were friends with and things like that, where I was just like, I don't think you're gonna react well to this, therefore I don't want to put myself through it. So I just like unfollowed them. I have phenomenal friends now, though. With that being said, I have met like incredible people within this last year, and I'm very much like, I'll have a lot of acquaintances and people that like I'll talk to on a regular basis, but like my core group of friends is so solid right now, and they're so supportive. My best friend's given me like my testosterone shot. Like, she like goes shopping with me. She like helps me pick out my super masculine clothes. She helped me pick out what I'm wearing to my mom's wedding. Like, my other best friend Wallace, like my mom is inviting him to the wedding, and he's super involved in the LGBT community, and like is helping me. He was there when I did my first shot. Like, he goes to my doctor's appointments with me when I need him. He's just like, incredible. And what is even like, I guess like even more amazing is like I have people who have never met me besides as Caden. Like my best friend's husband never met me as Amanda, like never met me as anything like that. Like only knew me as Kate, has only known me as Caden. And the amount of support and like I just like, it's the amount of support and just the amount of like excitement that they get when they see like my transition. it's so empowering. It's one of those, like, I know that this sucks and like it's so hard and like dealing with all this stuff, like one thing on top of another, like is just insane. But I have these like core group of like 5 or 6 people that I know I can text them at any time and be like, this sucks. Like I had the worst day of my life. Like how can we hang out, or like can we go on a drive, or can you just like send me a picture of your cat? And they all will, and it's great. Like that. It's pretty. I'm ridiculously lucky when it comes to my friends, honestly.
Okay, you seem like you have an awesome support group. That seems incredible. That's kind of what makes having issues or anything in your life that's negative, like, better in a sense, and helping those things. Going off that, what impact do you think, if any, would this kind of have upon your future? You could talk about possibly like with your career goals, or like personal, maybe like family life, anything that you would see an issue in?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's probably like a rooted fear in general for like most people, is like ending up alone, or like not being like deemed like lovable by like the other's family, or just in general like partners, like parents not approving and not wanting me to be with them. Um, I'm I'm more afraid of that than I would ever probably admit, like in like day-to-day life. But my career, I made the decision that once I came out as trans, like I was never going back. Like I'm never not like letting people know. Like that is never a conversation that like is going to be avoided. I don't want people not to know. Like I'm super out, and there's a reason for it, because I'm lucky enough to have this transition, and I'm lucky enough to like, and like privileged enough to like go through this. I want somebody to be able to look at like me and be like, okay, cool. Like this kid had a lot of stuff happen, and also now at 22 years old is doing X, Y, and Z, and like graduating college, and like made it to college, and like has like opportunities ahead of him versus where he was at like 16, this destructive, like depressed teenager. And so I think that like no matter what my life is, it's something that will always play a role in it. It's one of those situations where I have to stop allowing like my fears to get in the way of like being with somebody, or like being open to that idea, or just in general. And also realizing like it's not nearly as bad as I've had it played out in my head. So that's definitely something that I'm working on now, is just like a personal development, because I'm that person that'll be like 10,000 things are going to go wrong today, and I know they're going to go wrong because I think they're going to go wrong, so therefore they're going to go wrong.
Yeah. I completely understand that. I very much do.
It's one of those. But yeah, I think that I think it just comes down to the fact that like I'm lucky enough to be able to be like, I'm going to be out, and like I'm going to be in social work. So me being out could harm my practice, and also it could allow for clients to come to me and be like, oh hey, you're part of the LGBT community, you're an out part of like you're an out member of the LGBT community, and you have a successful job, and you have like a career, and you are stable, and like that'd be so cool to be that person for somebody.
That would be a huge inspiration to a lot of people, and I think that's extremely important.
That's the goal.
Good. Alrighty, so in the past with this, since it's been, you said like 5 years, and if there were any like issues, have you used any specific coping methods in the past, whether they've worked or not? You can kind of state whether, this was a fail or this was successful.
So I have I have like a list of coping mechanisms that I've tried that I like recycle through regularly. I have like I either do like 0 or 100 when it comes to my coping mechanisms, and so it'll either be like super toxic, like drinking or like drugs or doing things like that, or it'll be like listening to Mozart and reading poetry, and like there's really no in between at this point. But the ones that I've recently started doing is like counting down and like taking a couple steps back and like actually taking a breath and recognizing that everything's going to be okay and that it's nothing to be afraid of. It's just you just have to be in the moment. Also, one like for my gender is that I've started like actually dressing the way I want to dress. So I've been out for a year, and like everybody that is in my life has known that I identify as a man and like wear masculine clothing. And this is also like the first time that I've been able to dress myself, like successfully dress myself. And so I like go out and I will compulsively spend, which is an issue within itself, but I feel better about myself. And so I do it. And so like I'll buy a shirt that any other day I would never wear because it's just not my style or just not like really who I am. But I'll have that in like the back of my closet and just like throw it on when I need to be like super douchey, like dude bro, to boost my masculinity. Those are like the core ones I've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
My best friend's trying to get me to work out. So well.
That's okay. Alrighty, so what we can do for our next time session is have you make a list of those coping mechanisms that you were talking about. So I want you to make a list of all of them, regardless if you think they're good or not, because then we could go over next time, you know, the ones that are going to be successful or even work off of those to be able to like process better ones in the future, and then possibly talk about the ones that aren't healthy for you and how to either avoid them or, you know, get past those if we realize that maybe they aren't healthy. So for next time, that would be awesome for you to bring. Do you have any other questions?
No, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. We'll talk next week.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.